have to start today's debrief episode off with a thank you to Matt Callery from the Addressing Gettysburg podcast. The conversation you're about to hear is the first debrief Brett and I recorded after my move to the area. Actually, my wife and I had only been in the area for about a week, and the moving company hadn't delivered most of the recording equipment we use for the show by this time. Not that we even had a studio to set it up in. And Matt Callery was incredibly generous then and still. He's helped Brett and I out a ton. Specifically, in this instance, he allowed us to use his studio and all his recording equipment to record the episode you're about to hear. So Matt, thank you, buddy. Brett and I appreciate everything. Our guests on today's show are members of the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War. This is our conversation with Bruce and Ben Frail. I am Colby Sumner, and this is America, Fog of War.
Pride of our nation, this day have set upon a mighty endeavor, a struggle to preserve our republic. Men's souls will be shaken with the violences of...
The cost of freedom is always high, but Americans have always paid it. And one path we shall never choose, and that is the path of surrender.
Was found a diary under the heading My Pledge. He had written these words: America must win this war. Therefore I will work, I will save, I will sacrifice, I will endure.
When did you serve? What made you decide to join the Marine Corps? Where did you go to boot camp? All that good stuff.
All right. Well, it's like we talked about a little earlier. My father's a 40-year Army veteran, and most of the people that I grew up with were high-level officers within the Army, which kind of drove me away from joining the Army, and that's why I enlisted in the Marine Corps at 17.
Rah.
Nice.
It was a fairly decent night. My father had been pretty much trying to get me to join the Army since I could walk, and him and I didn't always see eye to eye. So I told him one day, "Hey, I'm going to need your signature because I'm 17 and the recruiter's going to come by tonight, and if you're good with it, sign the papers." So he's like, "Yeah, it's about time you settle down and you start doing something right." And so when the door rang and he opened the door and there was a Marine Corps recruiter, he took one look at me and he's like, "Yeah, this will set you straight."
Nice.
It's so funny you say that because, honestly, so my dad was in the Army, right? And my whole family, for the most part, has been a history of Army. So you get a lot of assumption that that's the branch you're going to go into. But from pretty early on, I decided I wanted to do the Marine Corps. I think it's funny you say that because I bet after you got out of boot camp, was there a little bit of talking trash between you and your dad, Army versus Marine Corps? Because I know me and my dad did it all the time. We had all kind of zingers, and the Marine Corps always has better zingers.
Oh yeah.
No, nothing against the Army guys out there, but we got some good zingers.
Hey, we're all brothers in arms, but yeah, we used to go back and forth.
It's all out of fun, right? Like it's not coming from a negative place. So
No, it's all in love, man.
Yeah.
We're all brothers and sisters. But yeah, we had some good times. My dad's deceased now, but right up to the end, we used to, even on basically on his deathbed, I zinged him a couple times.
You got to, because also those are the things that'll lighten a tense situation. That's the thing about military, even different branches. There is something to it There's a common language that all the branches speak to each other in a way, you interact. So for anybody out there that's never been in the military and you hear about these rivalries, maybe there was a time where they were a little more serious than they are now. But at least in the modern era, I'd like to think most of the time those rivalries are from a place of they come from a place of camaraderie and not so much of angst.
So, Bruce, let me ask you, when did you serve and what was your MOS?
I served 79 through 83. I was a bulk fuelman, combat engineer. I trained in Geiger and then was detached to Cherry Point with West 27. And basically what we did, we set up forward LZs for Harrier jump jets and helicopter excursions. And we had to keep basically 2 LZs open at all times. We would go in, drop the equipment via helicopter, drop us in via helicopter, clear out whatever we had to clear out, set up our systems, and be ready sometimes within an hour to take in incoming service. And then when we were done, we would, if we had the time, we would pack up, or if not, we would blow up the equipment and get out and move to the next location.
You gotta love when you get to blow things up,
Yeah.
So, Bruce, we have a lot of people listening to the show that have either never been in the military, they're looking to join the military in their future. It could be kids in high school right now that want a career in the military. Walk us through a little bit about, what does a combat engineer in the Marine Corps do? You kind of told us a little bit about it in the last example, but a little more in detail. What do they do?
Combat engineers are basically the builders of the service. We make sure that systems are in place for when the troops get there. We make sure the systems continue to function while the troops are there. We are usually the first to get in and usually the last to leave. And, like I was saying, there's in my particular field, the bulk fuelman, there's 2 sections that we dealt with. One was the HERS system, which dealt with Harrier jump jets and helicopters. When I talk about helicopters, I'm talking about the old-time helicopters. Hueys, Colbers, 46s, and 53s. Usually you didn't see a lot of the 53s, but we would be dropped in with 46s, and sometimes, depending on the availability and the accessibility of the location, we would either rappel down or be dropped, either by skid or by ramp from one of the helicopters. The other system was the Taft system, and that was designed for fixed-wing aircraft. We didn't do a whole heck of a lot in that, but we did train where we would lay down landing strip, set up snag wires for the hook, the seagoing planes. You're dealing with JP4, and it's a very volatile fuel.
Yeah.
There are a few interesting stories about that I could tell. Basically, you got a 20,000 with the Taft system. You got a 20,000 gallon waterbed full of fuel, and with the HERS system, you have 12 500 gallon pods of JP4 that are in a circle, all serviced by pumps. And it's interesting. You clear woods, clear paths, you clear areas for comm towers, landing zones.
And you're doing this all in combat zone too. So are you holding your own security, or do you usually have a support element with you?
We would usually have a support element with us, but yes, we also took up perimeter positions in case, depending on how hot the zone was.
Because if a gunshot goes off, everybody's a rifleman.
Everybody's a
That's
rifleman, right. And those gunshots that are incoming, if they're tracer rounds, that will ignite the JP4 like you wouldn't believe.
Right, and nobody wants that.
No. Nobody
wants that. You did mention one thing that I actually want to ask about here, because I have a feeling, just knowing the Marine Corps, that this is the way it went down. You said that depending on the accessibility of some of these areas, you might have to rappel in. Is the only time you did that before you actually did it in the field live from a helicopter at boot camp?
The only time I've ever that I started rappelling was in boot camp. We did the wall rappel and
Right.
the helo rappel at Paris Island.
Right.
And other than that, when we were with West 27, we did train a couple times.
But was that from a helicopter?
from a helicopter.
Right. So you get one time through the rappel tower at Parris Island,
That's it.
and then you're on the helicopter.
That's right.
The reason I bring that up is because we were both assaultmen, 0351s. So we shot a rocket launcher called the SMAW, the shoulder fire multi-purpose assault weapon, and then we were also breaching demolition guys for a weapons platoon that could get tasked out to 11's platoons. And for those listening that, again, aren't in the Marine Corps specifically or even in the military, those numbers I just rambled off, those are different jobs. So an 0311 is a rifleman, just basic infantry guy. And then a weapons platoon is one of the platoons that make up a line company. And it has, your machine gunners, your mortars, and then assaultmen as well. At least in the Marine Corps it does. And the reason I say all that is, to make a long story short, I didn't really shoot a 203. Actually, I never shot a live 203 round in training, ever. I only ever shot the paint ones, and I shot it at SOI at Camp Geiger on that range they have out there. And the next time I shot one was in combat in Afghanistan. Actually, my first gunfight in Afghanistan. So the Marine Corps has a funny way of training you something early on, and then finding, having a way to have it come back around to you later in your career.
The Marine Corps is big on the job training.
that indeed
That's
they
right.
are.
You're going to do it live.
All right, well, moving right along then, because today's interview is not so much about the combat experience that you had with your time in the Marine Corps. We're kind of here more for the historical aspect. You both, Bruce and Ben, you guys both are here representing the Sons of Union veterans of the Civil War. Tell us a little bit about the organization. What made you guys want to join? What does the organization do?
The organization is a fraternal organization which was created by the Grand Army of the Republic back on 12th of November in 1881. We were basically created because the Grand Army of the Republic, for members in the audience that don't know exactly what that is, it was a group of Union veterans that created a veterans organization, one of the first veterans organizations, and the one requirement was that you had to be a honorably discharged Union veteran of the American Civil War. And the reason why they created the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War was to perpetuate their legacy and to remind the citizens of the United States that, one, freedom isn't free, that men and women give up quite a bit to be able to secure that for everybody. We also take care of their graves, their records, their monuments, and educate our youth and other citizens of what happened during the American Civil War, why these guys fought for the United States Constitution and the United States government. And we've been doing it, and this is our 140th year.
That's awesome.
And we're going to do it for as long as we have a breath, and like my son standing here, as long as he has a breath, and hopefully my grandsons, Benjamin's two sons, for as long as they have a breath. And we hope to be able to be part of the United States and history for, the foreseeable future.
I think it's a great organization, and I, getting ready for this interview, I got on the website and researched some stuff and looked at everything you guys had to offer. As far as some of the things your organization does, there was quite a few. One of them that really, I guess the one that I appreciate the most is the monument, memorial, and grave preservation. I think that's outstanding. If you'd like, kind of tell us, where, like what battle, are you doing these on battlefields? Are you doing these in national cemeteries? What parts of the country, and kind of how those projects work with your organization?
Sure. I'll address graves registration right away. One of the things that we're tasked with is locating all the final resting locations of every Union soldier, sailor, Marine, and revenue cutter service, which is the modern-day Coast Guard. We want to record their locations so that we can make sure that their graves are properly cared for, whether it be by us or by groups that we allied with, because obviously we can't do it alone. We're very proud of that particular project. In the 11 years that I was in, we identified 19 previously unknown soldiers. We marked over 1,900 Union veterans' graves that were known but did not have proper marking. And we've recorded over 800,000 Union graves. We also have an element which my son Benjamin might be able to address a little bit more, the monuments, and I'll give that to him.
Yeah, so we also have a committee
specific for monuments and memorials, where we go through and we photograph and document these monuments. We're working on getting a database together that has all of these, and it's not, you mentioned earlier, it's not just on the battlefields. We're in Rhode Island, where we're from. There's just over 30 monuments. A lot of them are town halls or town squares. Some are in cemeteries. Others are plaques that are on buildings. There's a plaque dedicated to General Isaac Rod.
What you just heard is a preview of one of our exclusive members episodes. If you enjoyed it so far, you can listen to the rest by becoming a member on Patreon. Just visit www.americafogofwar.com and click on the Become a Member button located in the menu. As a patron, you'll gain access to up to 2 extra episodes a month, as well as early access to those and our regular episodes, and everything is 100% ad-free. If you're worried about the cost, don't be. We have multiple membership tiers to choose from, our most affordable membership subscription being just $5 a month. Every membership subscription goes such a long way in helping Brett and I make America Fog of War. And if you want to help us ensure that this show continues to grow and get the story of the American warrior out to more and more people, becoming a member is the best way to make that happen. Thank you for listening, and until next time, stay frosty.